an email, I think, to you, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to inform the group that I got a very nice email about a code blue and one of our residents that passed away, and the family was just thanking us. I didn't think it was appropriate because there was some personal information in the email to put in your packet, but I did want to share with you the compliment that they gave our firefighters. I know we do a great job every single call, but it was amazing the job we did, and they even want to meet with me and make a donation in the name of their father for AED. So I just wanted to let you know about that email and our firefighters' great work.
Thank you, Chief. All right, I have the motion to approve the minutes of the March 8th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Incy,
Yes.
Commissioner Sudich,
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Urbina,
Yes.
Chairman Wilsey.
Yes. All right, how about some voucher approvals?
I'll move that we approve the accounts payable vouchers as outlined in the agenda totaling $259,514.83.
I'll second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the vouchers as outlaid in the agenda. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Incy,
Yes.
Commissioner Sudich,
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Urbina,
Yes.
Chairman Wilsey.
Yes. Any reports from 3390 tonight?
President Flick says no.
All right. Thank you. That takes us to you there, Chief. You're up.
Great. Well, just two updates for you. We did hire and make an offers for to Crystal Hackmeyer to be our new financial manager, and she will start April 11th. So we will send that out, a bio in the next few weeks, but we're excited for her and her experience, and we'll send a bio out to you in the next few days, and you'll get to meet her soon, but we're excited to bring her aboard on April 11th. The second update I have for you is we are looking for firefighter paramedics right now, and we had 7 apply, and so we're going through that process to evaluate them and go through the process and hire as many of them as meet our values, which I'm sure many of them will, because they're all great people and transfers. So we're looking forward to going through that process and bringing some laterals on board in the next couple months. That's all I have for updates. I thought I'd spend most of the time on the capital facilities a little bit later.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Any standing committee reports? We have any committees meet? I don't think we did. All right. So financial report, Chief Oldberg.
Good evening. I'll go ahead and share my screen here quickly. Make sure that everybody can see what I'm sharing. Does that look, everybody see the financial report? So we have 2 financial reports tonight. We wanted to make sure and catch everybody up. I know there was a lag in December. We were waiting for some year-end closeout numbers. And so I've included that financial report in your packets as well. You're very familiar with the details there. Obviously, we ended the year in a good position, and we are currently preparing our presentation for the commission in its entirety, a larger year-end presentation. So that will be soon to follow. For the actual February's update, we're on target. Everything seems to be trending well. We're in normal ranges, so I don't really have anything to report or any anomalies from last month. So I'll stand for questions from the commission if there are any.
Any questions for Chief Oldberg?
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right. Takes me to Chairman's report. I just want to briefly, let's I'd like to have a moment of silence for Deputy Dom Collada. Lost his life in the line of duty. If we could do that, thank you. All right, thank you. And I just wanted to let everyone know, we have a few of our firefighters that also have close ties to the Pierce County Sheriff's Department, one even being an officer. So I want everybody to keep them in their thoughts and prayers, as well as Deputy Collada's family. So it kind of touched us as well, and everybody's feeling that loss. So his service will be this Friday from 1 to 3 at Church for All Nations. So I'm sure it'll be well publicized. So if you want to get more information on that, I'm sure it'll be in the media. So attend if you can. All right. Any old business that needs to come before the board? Any other old business? Okay. New business.
Oh.
Chief, resolution, draft bond ballot resolution.
Great. Well, I'm going to spend a few minutes just bringing us to this point for some people that are here for the first time, and what got us here and how we got to this point. So I'm going to do a quick overview. First, I wanted to talk about how. Hold on, there it is. First, I wanted to talk about how we're funded. Our daily operations in the Gig Harbor Fire Medic 1 are funded by a fire levy and a levy for emergency medical service. And that's $2 per 1,000 of assessed property value. $1.50 of that is for the fire, and 50 cents is for EMS. EMS counts for about 78% of our emergency calls, and the lid lift that maintains that funding will expire at the end of this year. This levy will continue to fund our 24-hour paramedic response and our ambulance transport services for Gig Harbor residents. And capital needs are usually, such as stations and apparatus, are usually funded through a voter approved bond. And the last time we did that was in 1980, which built many of our current stations. We don't have impact fees here in Gig Harbor Fire. So that's kind of how we're funded. Our operations are through the levy. Capital is usually through a bond, and we don't have impact fee for growth here. Through the community support, Gig Harbor Fire Medic 1 has built really one of the most advanced emergency response systems in the state of Washington, with highly trained personnel, and it's a full service fire department. The fire district operates under a balanced budget, has a long history of passing our independent audits. Gig Harbor Fire and the whole community is growing, and our calls have increased 42% since 2011. Now, in December of last year, we completed our capital facilities plan that identified issues with our fire stations and improvements that were necessary for the health and safety of our community. This is on our website, and you can see the entire capital facilities plan. At that same meeting, I made a recommendation along with that capital facilities plan on how we should fund each stage as we go through that. And I made a recommendation that I think we should go to a bond to pay for a portion of that. In that recommendation, one of the priority projects includes a training facility, and that's for the safety of our firefighters and for the public. We currently don't have any place to do any live fire training. We rely on driving clear to North Bend for that live fire training, or we have to partner and get to partner with many of our neighbors, but they're using those facilities for their own fire departments. We've struggled with getting, when we hire firefighters, to getting them into recruit academies. Right now we're in Central Pierce Fire's Recruit Academy, and we're grateful to that. But we don't have a training facility here on the peninsula, which will increase our firefighter safety and our community safety. Another need that we identified during our capital facilities plan is just some decontamination areas. We have bloodborne pathogens and we have cancer carcinogens through the smoke and soot in our turnouts, and we need to create areas to keep that out of our living quarters in our fire stations. And you'll see that throughout as we focus on our firefighters' health and safety. Two ways that we're doing that is at Station 57 and Station 53. These stations are already great stations and we can use them, but we're just going to add a little bit on the side that gives a place to store our turnouts, to decontaminate our turnouts, and to decontaminate our firefighters from bloodborne pathogens. Station 51, we've identified as one of our key buildings that needs to be renovated. Station 51 is currently located. It's ideally located, we think, on Kimball. It was built in 1978. It's been remodeled multiple times, and we're proposing a complete tear down of that building and a new station. Here's our new station, early designs. Now, one of the things that we did in this design is we are creating our stations to reduce our turnout time. And how do we do that? We have brought the living quarters upstairs and the dormitories downstairs. We're looking at how we can flow into the rig room to really save our turnout time. It's just one of the things we're doing. Also here at Station 51 is an area for a future ladder truck, to house a ladder truck. Even if we were to get one at this point, we don't have a place to house it. So we can't get that ladder truck in the future until we have this station done. This is the upstairs kitchen and day room and a small training room. This is Station 58 and 59, which are both on my recommendation to replace. Now, we're going to keep these stations, but we will remodel. It'll be an extensive remodel. We'll keep the same four walls, but we will also add that decontamination area and another bay onto 58 and 59. You know, we have been diversifying our department for years. Our department started out as an all-volunteer male department, and we're diversifying each and every day. And we need to create a facility for our changing workforce. Our current stations do not allow for that. And it's something that we really need to focus on, a more diversified workforce. And this bond will allow us to do that. Adequate facilities are just as important as our firefighters and the apparatus in saving lives and property. Gig Harbor community, like I said, has grown more than 16% since 2010. Call volumes have increased 37 to 40% in that same time period. Since I proposed the capital facilities plan and my recommendation, we have been seeking input. I've been speaking at Lions, at Chamber, Harbor Chat just this morning, Rotary. I've met with the mayor, the council, asking for their input. Next Monday, I'll be going to the mayor and council and speaking at their council meeting and updating them on this bond and asking them to give us input. Every meeting since December, the fire commissioners have discussed these projects, and we've asked for input from our public and from the community. Chairman Wilsey's wrote an opinion piece to the newspaper. We've done multiple press releases and news interviews asking for community involvement, telling them about our plan. And I've met with our United States Congressman, our state senator, both of our state representatives. We posted all of our plans on our website so we can be completely transparent and get that feedback. And we've received some great input during that, which has refined our projects, which brings us to today. So through that process, since December, since I made my recommendation that part of the thing that we should do is go out to bond to fund some of our projects, we've made some adjustments. I still believe that training facility is our #1 priority, and we should start with that. Next, we have made some changes and introduced Station 57 and 53 that I showed you just a little bit ago. It's adding on an area so that we can decontaminate our gear after a call. And we need to do those next so that when we go into Station 51, 58, and 59, we have a place for our firefighters to move into. And that's why we moved Station 57 and 53 at Fox Island up. The next big project would be Station 51, which is down on Kimball. And at one time, we had Station 51 and a logistics building all on that property. Through input with the commissioners and discussions with our constituents, we've abandoned putting that logistics building behind Station 51, and we've changed that project. And you'll see at the end, right before the orange line, we do have a placeholder for logistics, but we are going to search for different opportunities to do that. We still need a logistics building. We still need to house those necessary functions. We just don't believe that putting it behind Station 51 is the prudent thing to do. So we'll do Station 51, 58, 59, and then save some money as we come down to the end of our projects to maybe buy an existing property, maybe buy an existing facility, maybe rent. We need a lot of options, but we'll be evaluating that over the next few years and use that as a placeholder for logistics. Then that's where our orange line stops. All those projects are almost 80 million. It's 77 million for those projects. We have projected some escalation in there to get us to this point. I've had a few questions already, both in the media and from the community, of what are we going to do on the other side of the orange line? What about 52, 56? Those are further down the line. I don't think that going out for a bond much greater than this, doing a 52, 6, 5, and 4, and including them in it is prudent just because of the time it takes to get to them. That could be 6, 8, 10 years away. And is it right to do a 20-year bond and not get to a project till 8 or 10 years from now? So I think we have, I keep calling it the orange line, but I think we have picked the right amount of priority projects that need to be done right now. And we'll continue to evaluate those other stations as we go along. In your packet is the bond and the bond resolution, the entire resolution. It's on the website if anybody wants to see it. I did have some feedback today through email and some phone calls that I did want to go over. I'll allow them to speak for themselves, but there was one question that I did want to address with you. And it was in section 1. It says, take note of the following facts, and then the need to improve community and firefighter health and safety, respond to increasing emergency call volumes, and reduce emergency response times. I had a discussion with somebody today that said, this is building buildings. How does buildings help you respond to increasing emergency call volumes and reduce emergency response times? They felt that maybe that wasn't the right way to word that. I still think that this is the right language, but at the end of the day, commissioners, you can make that decision. Responding to increasing emergency call volumes. As we get more and more, as we get busier, we need to hire more firefighters. And like I said, we're going to be someday have a ladder truck. And with this bond, we will be able to, because of that increase in emergency call volumes, we'll need a ladder truck. We'll need more firefighters. And this bond will make it so that we can fit them into our buildings. And I believe that responding to increasing emergency call volumes is exactly what this bond will do. It will expand some of our rooms and our facilities to allow for that increase of staffing and increase of new resources. And then when it comes to reducing emergency response times, at one hand, I totally get that buildings don't respond to fires. How would we do that? We're not moving buildings. But like I said earlier, we will be able to reduce emergency response times through our turnout time. We are going to construct these buildings, like I showed you in Station 51, to put the living quarters up above and the dorms down below to increase the flow into the rig rooms, the rig room doors, the pole, everything about that building will be about reducing our response time. So I still think that this language is appropriate, but I also really appreciate the call and the discussion. And at the end of the day, commissioners, you can make that decision if this is the right verbiage. This here in your packet is also what would go into the actually on the ballot. So what's our next steps? So next steps, today is a big day. We have the draft resolution in front of you. It outlines our projects. It outlines the amount. In this, it would be a 20-year, $80 million bond. We're projecting it to be 24 cents per 1,000 assessed property value, or $118.80 a year, or $9.90 a month for the owner of a $500,000 home. So sorry, now next steps. Today, we have this in front of you. We can listen to the public tonight, and then the public can email me. They can call or email commissioners. We're still in the feedback mode until April 12th. We'll be getting feedback from mayor, council, constituents, and then on April 12th, we'll need to pass the final resolutions with any changes that you may want to make between now and then. And then on August 2nd will be the vote, and we will need 60% to pass this bond to start our projects. So I hope that that overview gets us to where we need to be. I'm here for any questions or anything, any next steps.
All right, any other questions from the commissioners at this time? Final thoughts or questions? All right, so I'll move us to open public comment, and then obviously anybody that's wishing to speak to the draft bond ballot resolution would be this would be the time to do it. So anyway, please state your name for the record. You'll have 3 minutes. I see we got Jenny W. just first on there, and then we have Carl after that. Can we get them in here? We'll start with Jenny W.
Thank you. I'm Jenny Wook, 3412 Lewis Street in Gig Harbor. I sit on the city council, and it's an honor to be here this evening and listen to your plan. It's something I certainly support. I think it's good for our neighborhood. It's good for our citizens. If it's predictable, it's preventable. And so we need to get this done. I do have one question on the ladder truck. It seems like there's no date for the ladder truck. And I know that we have, this may not be the time for a question, but I am concerned. I think we have Heron's Key, and I don't know if a ladder truck is needed there or not, but obviously it's been there for several years and things have gone along well. So as you go forward and plan, I'm not sure when that ladder truck is coming, but anyway, so thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening.
No, thank you for your support, Council Member Wook. And yeah, the ladder truck, it's kind of hard to say when that would be here. We need the station first, need a place to park it. So if we're successful in getting Station 51 rebuilt, the real intention there is to have an apparatus base space that will house that new ladder truck like the chief spoke of. And you're completely correct. Heron's Key, and then also St. Anthony's Hospital is another one that is a fairly high value risk when it comes to needing an aerial ladder. But speaking, we do contract with the city of Tacoma currently, and the ladder truck from the north end of Tacoma does respond into Gig Harbor when we have any events at those facilities that require a ladder truck. So. All right. Well, thank you again, Councilmember Wook. And then I believe we had Carl with his hand up. If we can get Carl in here.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you, Carl.
Carl Kreitzer. I live in Gig Harbor. I don't know who Dennis talked to today, but he and I had a discussion yesterday, I think. I have concern about the way the resolution is worded. I think it allows people to misconstrue what is actually going to happen. Dennis, you mentioned earlier that what was going to cause these things to happen was actually additional personnel. And the way this is written, it does sound, you mentioned to me that you can't mention personnel in a facilities bond issue. I don't know whether that's totally prohibited or not. I don't know anything about it. But I do have a problem, as I mentioned, Dennis. I'm not going to go through all of it again. I did with him. He knows where I stand. He mentioned some of the things that we talked about when I called. But I would think it would be worthwhile to take a close look at this to see with those concerns if there's a better way for this to be written. That's all.
All right, Carl, and are you referring to what the chief kind of highlighted just in some of the language?
I thought for a minute I'd called him today.
Yeah, okay. So
I
yeah,
got my
well,
days all mixed up. Sorry. Yes, it was yesterday. They're all running together.
Gotcha.
I didn't
got
want to out you, Carl. I wanted you you to bring it up yourself.
I can take the slings and arrows.
no, and I appreciate that concern, Carl. And yes, we always want to make sure that we're conveying exactly what it is we're trying to do with the facilities. And even though I do understand that a lot has happened over the years as far as fire station design, especially since the 80s when these stations were built. And it really, the term that seconds count really means something when it's response time in the fire and EMS service. And having those spaces closer to the app bay and having, fire stations that are, one story without stairs, without, railing, things, that it just, that response time picks up so much sooner that it is, although it seems like it wouldn't make that much of a difference, it does, just because of the seconds that it changes. But I do understand your concern, and I promise you we will take a look at that language again to see if we can possibly make that more clear.
Well, last night when Dennis and I chatted, I did slip into standards of cover and he slapped me down. So I won't bring that up again.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Carl. I appreciate you.
Thanks.
All right. Do we have anybody else? I'll pull up my list. I don't see any other hands. All right. Did you want to address any of that information there, Chief, or any of the other commissioners wanted to speak about the two folks that brought things up? Or
No, when it comes to the truck company, yes, Commissioner Wilsey is definitely an advocate for our truck company, and we agree. But like you said, we need the building first before we can even do that. And then we need to purchase the apparatus, which is a couple $1 million, and then staffing a ladder truck with 4 people is another couple million base funding. So it's going to take us a little bit to first get the station, then the apparatus, and then have enough funding to staff it. So I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, but I know this board and especially Commissioner Wilsey agree with you, Councilmember Wook, and we all do, in fact. We just need a little time to get there. So I appreciate your support on that. And then I would never slap Carl down. He's a good friend, and I really appreciate his input. We may slightly disagree on the wording, but that's I appreciate his input. At the end of the day, we'll all work together to come up with the right language. So I really appreciate him calling. Other than that, you got Steve Nixon's email. I know he sent it to all of us. And yeah,
No,
unless
I'll-
there's any questions for me, I'm ready to move.
Alex,
No.
can I say one thing quick?
Yep, go ahead, Bryce.
First off, I just want to thank Carl because some of the feedback he's given us in the past, I think, has actually been really helpful in terms of developing a list of the timeline. And I think the chief would echo that Carl's feedback really made us look and say, hey, if we bump 51 up, we could save quite a bit of money. So I think that he's offered us a great deal of constructive feedback throughout this process. And as far as the language goes, I'm open to suggestion, but I would just note, I think in Chief Doan's presentation, he talked about, it's almost like a three-legged stool, the funding mechanisms. We have the fire levy, the EMS levy, and then potential bond funding. And I think that while it wouldn't necessarily, other than station design, bonds don't pay for people, so we're not staffing another station from the bond. I think that funding capital facilities projects through a bond allows us to dedicate funding from that fire levy, from that EMS levy, to hire more people to staff additional stations. Whereas if we don't get that bond funding to pay for those capital projects, we have to kind of muddle along with the fire levy, the EMS levy, try to pay for some of that stuff, some of these capital needs out of that, which means we can't use that money to hire more people to staff more stations. So while I think it's an indirect, possibly benefit as far as going out station-wise, I think there's certainly response time benefits from station design that are captured by the bond. And definitely it allows us to use those levies to pay for more people to staff more stations.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Nelson. And then I just want to briefly, I know Chief just brought up former Assistant Chief Nixon wrote us all a very nice, very well thought out email and calling out some issues with infrastructure. And if anybody isn't aware, Chief Nixon was very instrumental in the standard to cover. And when you get involved in that type of work, you really drill down onto, intersections, roundabouts, any path that, you're really looking at response times and trying to cut them down to, the least amount of time as possible. And, he brought a lot of good points into just some things we need to think about and probably partnering with either with the city of Gig Harbor or Pierce County, depending on where it lies within the district, to try to make some improvements that would, make more sense of us investing all these dollars in these properties that we currently have. So thank you, Chief Nixon, for that letter. And it's good for us to think about that. And I think we'll have time to address that with the county and the city as we move forward and try to get some of those things that you mentioned accomplished. So I see you're here, and if you'd like to speak, I don't want to deny you the microphone, but if you do not, I completely understand as well. So not trying to call you out, but all right. So I'll close open public comment on that note, and anything for good of the order. All right, hearing none, we'll move to special interests, upcoming events. I just want to bring it up first. I mentioned it before, but the memorial for Deputy Collada is this Friday from 1 to 3 p.m. at Church for All Nations. That's 112th Street in Pierce County. So please, if you're able to attend that, I think there's going to be some overflow at the Lutheran Church in the city of Tacoma. If Chief Meyer, do you have some more information on that? I know I've kind of got a little bit of it here on my screen, but if you have some more to add on that, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, so we are going to be sending representatives. We're going to be planning on participating in the procession with an engine and personnel to help support that memorial. I will also be attending the service on Friday. So we're going to be represented supporting our partners in law enforcement on Friday.
All right, thank you, Chief. And then, yep, there will be a procession from the fairgrounds, so there is a note there. And then a Champion Center will be the overflow if they fill up Church of All Nations. Champion Center, which is at 1819 East 72nd, will be the overflow. So people just have that in mind and try to plan ahead for that. April 9th, 2022, we have an open and efficient government virtual workshop. It's available. It's still, it's basically the same workshop as the SNOR Saturday seminar series done by the district's attorneys. Probably a little different delivery, but yeah, you can either attend that, or I know that 3 of us, I believe, are going to go to the actual seminar with SNOR. And then April 15th, reminder to everybody, the deadline to file your annual F1 is due. So if you haven't done that, which I'm one, I need to get it done. So just a reminder to fill that out and get it in to be in compliance. Anything else, special interests or upcoming events that need to be shared with the group? Fire Commissioners, Pierce County Fire Commissioners meeting this Thursday as well. Correct, Tom? I think 6 p.m. I think everybody's nodding their heads. All right.
I think it's at 7.
7 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to let everybody know that Chief Lyon is retiring, and we are holding a luncheon for him on April 13th, about 11:30 here at Station 50. So if you want to come congratulate Chief Lyon on his career here in Pierce County, you're more than welcome. So April 13th, the luncheon at 50.
Thank you, Chief. All right. Any other special interests or upcoming events? All right, seeing none, this meeting is adjourned. Our next regular meeting will be Tuesday, April 12th, 2022 at 5 p.m. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Night all.
Not all.